shape tomorrow's infrastructure. Enhance precision, lead with sustainable solutions. Masters in Global BIM Management in Civil Engineering and GIS. Enroll now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to today's session, 5D BIM in Action, linking cost, schedule, and data analytics in Power BI. In this exclusive session, you will learn how 5D BIM integration connects cost, schedule, and data, enhancing accuracy, transparency, and smarter decision-making in project delivery. My name is Thaisa Figueroa. I'm Institutional Relations and Program Owner here at Ziggurat, and I'm thrilled to be your host today. And if is this your first time with us, here is a quick introduction. Ziggurat is a leading online educational institution with over 20 years of experience in learning. Our programs cover architecture, engineering, and technology management, helping professionals worldwide boost their careers. And we are proud of our global community with more than 20,000 students from over 120 countries. At Ziggurat, we believe in unlimited possibilities, unlimited knowledge, future, success, leadership, and imagination. And that spirit of limitless growth begins right here with all of you. And before we begin, let's make the session a little bit interactive. I would love to know, where are you joining us from today? Please share with us in the chat, and let's see how global is this session today. I'm talking with you here from Barcelona, and I would love to know, where are you today? And let's try to keep the energy high and stay connected throughout the session, okay? I already see some answers. So Egypt, Colombia, nice. Saudi Arabia, Mexico. Hello and welcome everyone. Wow, great. So today's masterclass is directly linked to our Masters in Global BIM Management in Civil Engineering and GIS. This program prepares professionals to collaborate globally on real-world civil engineering projects while mastering the three key pillars in BIM excellence: the technology, process, and people. So to tell you more, please welcome my colleague, Elena, the Career Development and Admissions Consultant at Ziggurat. Elena, it's over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Thaisa. Thank you and welcome everyone. So today I would like to introduce you to the program that redefines how we design, build and manage infrastructure, Masters in Global BIM Management and Civil Engineering and GIS. So we all know that world is changing fast, cities are growing, sustainability is no longer optional, and technology is transforming the way we build. This Masters gives professionals the tools to lead the transformation, focusing on how digital methodologies make infrastructure projects more efficient, coordinated, and cost-effective. It is 1 year, fully online program in English with a dual degree from Ziggurat Institute of Technology and IL3 University of Barcelona. It is structured around 60 ECTS credits, giving students both the academic rigor and the practical tools to engage with the real-world challenges. And to ensure the highest standards, this master is supported by leading industry partners and accreditations, including Chartered Institute of Building Transformations, and partnership with Autodesk and Bentley Systems. Next slide, please, Thaisa. As you can see on this site, the program follows a clear and progressive roadmap. We begin with a welcome block to establish foundations and level up your skills in BIM softwares. Then block 1 focuses on standards, data management, and collaborative practices. Block 2 explores GIS and reality capture technologies. In the third block, we explore design, covering roads, drainage, and specialization in either railroad or water and sanitation systems. Block 4 dives into construction and BIM, focusing specifically on VDC, 4D and 5D planning. And we close program with the maintenance and operations, emphasizing life cycle management. Throughout the year, students progressively develop a final master project that simulates a real infrastructure project, applying everything learned using an open BIM workflows, advanced software, and team collaboration. This structure ensures a strong balance between the technology, processes, and people, three fundamental pillars of modern infrastructure. Next slide, Thaisa. Why choose Ziggurat? Because this program stands out as a top-ranked BIM master, recognized globally for its technical depth and practical application. We use cutting-edge industry software. Learning is hands-on with the real project case studies. The methodology is very flexible and online. Highly interactive with the live sessions, forums, mentoring sessions. Faculty members are leading experts currently active in the industry. They ensure that the content reflects real-world practice. And another key strength of Ziggurat is its global community. Our alumni network spans more than 120 nationalities. This means that when you join this master, you're not just studying, you're also becoming part of an international professional ecosystem. And this global network creates opportunities for collaboration, partnership, and job mobility, of course. Regarding the career opportunities, if you change the slide, Thaisa. This master opened basically doors to a wide range of the professional roles in the infrastructure sector. Graduates are equipped to work as a BIM infrastructure managers and coordinators, BIM and GS consultants, infrastructure engineers and architects, heads of the technology. The program covers production management strategic levels, empowering professionals to lead interdisciplinary teams and drive digitalization in infrastructure projects. So it is not just about learning technology, it's about leading transformation in the infrastructure sector. That is all from me. Now I'll hand over to Thaisa to continue again.
Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank
And
you.
now it's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Omar Habibi. He's a co-founder and digital delivery expert at We Group. Omar supports organizations in implementing digital construction strategies and developing intelligent reporting systems to enhance project outcomes. His expertise includes 4D planning, 5D cost management, BIM integration, and project controls across large-scale developments in Europe, the UK, and the Middle East. He's also a lecturer in the Masters in Global BIM Management in Civil Engineering and GIS at Ziggurat, and is a frequent speaker at international conferences where he shares insights and digital delivery and project performance. Before I pass you the floor, Omar, let's make just a quick reminder to our audience. Please feel free to send your questions and your doubts in the chat, and we will address them at the end, okay? In the Q&A session at the end of the presentation from Omar. Omar, welcome. Thank you so much. It's a true pleasure to have you here with us, and the stage is all yours now. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vanity. The pleasure is all mine. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be with you here today. I think we are going to discuss a really interesting topic, a topic I really love to speak about, and I really love to deal with our clients as well. Hopefully, it will be really something useful for you. Before I start, could we see how many QS engineers we have, planners, QS planner, Power BI, BIM engineers? Just write down the chat as we go. It will be really interesting to see who you are speaking today. Okay, so just for your information, why are we asking this question? This topic is really kind of interaction between, I hope that you see my screen, yeah? Screen, yeah, you see my screen. So this topic is integration between planning, commercial, cost, and we talk about the BIM and cost QS, and even the Power BI environment itself. So everyone has its own kind of understanding of the terminology, but I'll try to address the high level, the general underground between every discipline we talk about. And then I'll try to share some real case study that we're gonna provide at the end of the session. So during the session, I'll try to highlight the main core elements, and then I will show you a real case study for the work itself. I opened the live document for it. But before we jump in deep, could you look at this Excel sheet and tell me if you used to see this in every kind of day-to-day work? So you have here a typical BQ list, arc, structural, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, multi-discipline project as a sample. Did you used to see this in your projects? Just write down in your chat as well. And then look at the outcomes from the chat. If you have this commercial information, like the BQ, look at the cash flow. I'd usually to see this kind of S-curve cash flow in terms of monthly and even the cumulative values. From planning side, you used to see this kind of breaking down, time schedule, breakdown, and assign with the time the activities. Why I'm sharing this? Because today we're not gonna innovate something from scratch. We're trying to integrate the different departments together, and we're going to speak to the different departments and different disciplines to be kind of in the same source of truth. We just speak about the methodology and how we deliver that. And at the end of the project, we're gonna go through this prepared dashboard to show you how this, like in reality, is not only conversation about things very theoretical. We might even share this template with you, so you feel free to navigate it from all the aspects we're going to discuss today. It's really hard to address every single thing inside this case study, so I'll try to cover the most important thing for you to know and to make you keep going. I got some comments here that this is kind of the CSI format, and yes, that's correct. This kind, and Alan as well says it's typical. So it's typical what you see in every project. What we're trying to see here today is a different approach, how we link it together and how we work in a smart way to deliver better outcomes. So welcome to our session. We're going to speak about the 5DBM in action. We discuss how to link cost, schedule, and within the data analytics environment. So what literally we're going to speak about today is, I'm going to start with in mind what we're going to deliver at the end of the session. We speak about the challenges, the workflow, and then we look at the outcomes, how it's going to look like if you followed this workflow. So as you look on the screen, you will see something really typical in day-to-day work. We talk about traditional workflow for cost management, which is budget zero, direct plan, indirect plan, expenses, fixed asset, and all this kind of stuff. This screenshot is a typical from a real work, real case study work. So you're gonna find out that this is the traditional workflow when you talk about commercial aspects. Then we need to go through the digital workflow where you could link the 3D model was the activities from the time schedule with some codes in the middle. So whenever you have with your BQ as well, so whenever you have a new version of your BQ, you know what's the original scope, what's the new information, what is the variance, and you could link that to the cash flow as well for your company. Okay, so literally what we're trying to do, we have a really nice Excel sheet dashboard that it has different stakeholders to a center source of truth where you have all the information you need about a specific project and you're discussing in the same place. I tried as we go in this session to use a prototype of a real world sample. This is a real world sample, but not the exact information. So it's kind of a prototype. So this is the kind of the same exact dashboard we provide for enterprise. If you look here on the left-hand side, every tab here is a different project. If you click on it, you're going to start talk about the activity information, the variance, this curve, and even the 3D model is there with the issues, and there's a statement for the project status itself. So we always like to talk about what's the issue. So why this is important, why we need this. So in today's world, the most bigger asset is data. When we talk about data, the data is everywhere. So if what we need to deliver is we need to integrate this data in a proper way that you will be able to answer the question in the right time and even deliver the right information to the right person to take the proper action. So what we're going to discuss in the upcoming slides will be more, okay, what's the kind of challenges that we need to address? So how we build the workflow around it to get it done, and then how we make everyone informed through the Power BI environment. So could we go through the challenges? And you agree with me in the chat there. Tell me if there is any kind of point that you agree with me the most, or there is other point that you want to add. Just feel free to add some comments in the chat there. Okay. So the first thing I would say here is data capture challenge. So we are living in a world that has, I think that's very famous kind of article I read recently, that 90% of our data that we have today is unused. What do you mean by this? That we have a lot of data, we have a lot of information, but we are not using every data we have, and we are not, if it's usable, it's not structured in the way that we want. Let's talk about limited access and security, that not always available, data quality and consistency, data security, and data scalability. So sometimes even you build a great Excel sheet that you feel it's unbeatable, it's really great to have and really structured. It's hard to scale from let's say from 100 villa project to let's say 1,000 villa project, for example, or from a small tunnel to a giga project tunnel, or LRT project, and so on. Sometimes you have a real problem with the scalability. So you need to think from that from day one. When you look at technology side, you look at there is a lack of standardization. And here, when I talk about lack of standardization, it really hurt me, because cost 5D as a word, it's integration. We're trying to deliver here the integration of time 3D model with the cost management process. So there is a kind of international standard for cost, but if you should see how it's implemented everywhere, you'll see completely different, and the different use of it affect the end product and so on. So we have here lack of standardization that have a problem that we can't really integrate with. It's not an easy go process to integrate with our tools. When we talk about real-time synchronization, everyone has his own way of defining the idea of cost and how to break down the idea of information, how you break down. There's no standard way to do this. When you have a different way to do that from different sources, from different softwares, you have a problem with the synchronization. And this will be the third problem, the integrity with the software system. We might work with Autodesk projects, Autodesk kind of softwares, maybe Bentley, might be Tekla, and there's a lot of things there that might be integrated in your process. Again, what we're trying to integrate, we integrate with 3D. We're trying to integrate with commercial data, and it might be like an ERP system or Candy or something like that, and time schedule. So it might be different sources. It might be some Excel sheets. So you have a lot of different sources. So the integration between them is really trying to have today. And we talk about the skill sets and process challenge. So when we address skill sets, this really one of the major problem in the market, and that's what Gujarat trying to fill the gap here. That we need people to be trained and to be capable to use today's digital delivery tools, that it based on integration by default through the master degree itself. You're going to learn how to integrate it, how to know to use different tools, and how to come up with a specific structure to help your digital delivery department and so on. But one of the major problems you have in the market is skilled personnel or people, and the data silos in the organization. And if we have a lot of even libraries, if we have a lot of information, sometimes people is not trained enough to use it. If we implemented a new software, and this software we're going to enhance our productivity, people is not up to that level, or they are not, the organization itself might be not digital enabled. So there's a lot of challenges to implement the 5D workflow within the data analytics as well. I'll go very quick for the real-time analytic decision making, the collection of data and quality. And you know, the rule for data analytics is garbage in, garbage out. So you need to really invest a lot of time in the data engineering and how to clean your data and how to get your data in. And then the complex project workflow and the data integration. So in the data analytics environment, the complex workflow might end up with a mess in terms of how you integrate your data. You might have the same information from different sources and so on. You need to look at this very soundly, and just for 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and write in the chat there what is the most kind of challenge you think that really stand out to you. I think it makes sense for anyone working in construction to find one of these challenges in his day-to-day work. I see this with clients. I see this with the companies we work with. I see this in my previous experience as well. So I'll give you 2 seconds, then we move to the next one. Okay, so when I address only when I just try to get only what I'd like to discuss when I talk about 5D, the previous one, I talk about data, I think the issues in the organization itself. So when we talk about the 5D itself, we talk about lack of skilled people. So if I ask you, how the 5D specialist look like? What his kind of skill sets need to be so to understand the workflow there, and how is if I need someone to create a dashboard for me, how he should be, what kind of information in the area of knowledge he need to be exposed to be able to deliver right information. So you'll find complex workflow will be one of your challenge, resistance to change, optimization, data management, and limited standardization. This, I think, that exactly stand out in the 5D process whenever being implemented in any organization. I'll try to be brief in the serial area, so I allow you to go through more in the data and in the case study itself. But here's a question: what we're trying to build at the end of this session is we need you to understand the 5D workflow. I need to understand the integration between the 3D model and the time schedule and the commercial element, how both we're going to talk together. Then this is the hard part of the process, how we make sure there is a process in place to link the time schedule with the 3D model. So when we export the data, I could distribute it over time. I could integrate it with the cost code as well. So I could give the, let's say, if you use the CSI, I could tell you exactly which item has the most kind of earned value on this project and so on. And I'm going through some kind of progress terminology as well. So to build the first item, which is the workflow, how to link the 3D model with the time schedule, we need to go and look probably to this high-level workflow in terms of the process itself. So simply, you have used here your BIM engineering team, use any kind of 3D model. They just here the end result, they get the 3D model modeled, coordinated, have the QS and QC, it's ready to go. And we talk about here the 3D model that has 400 LOD. So then once you have your design team finish your design information, we give it the BIM control team. The BIM control team start having a proper naming convention for their naming convention for the BIM model to match with the WBS from the time schedule you're going to have. I'll show you an example of what I mean there. So I have 3D model. I have any type of 3D modeling, and the naming convention that we use there has to follow a specific breakdown that the project control team using, and we look at the commercial team as well from the other side to have kind of mapping together. For this example, I'm going to address only the, let's say, the time schedule breakdown. So we have a BQ, and this BQ has a specific serial number, and we have a time schedule that has a specific sequence. So we're trying to come up with a code that match both, or we're going to map the BQ with the activity ID and link both together within the 3D model. So we're going to look at the WBS from the planning team, start break down the WBS with the BQ detailed item, and then try to add this as a shared parameter inside the 3D model itself. So once you have done the first item that you have, it's a really typical workflow whenever you have adding any kind of codes to your 3D model. For example, you're trying to add the CSI master format codes to the 3D model itself. There's automation way and there's a manual way just to add a shared parameter and keep adding your CSI format, like master format codes. The same exact, you're going to add the activity ID. The same exact, you're going to add the cost codes, or you might have kind of automation way using Dynamo or something to make it much faster. But at this stage, we just added the codes to the models. And sometimes we create something called a mapping sheet. I'll show you a real example for the mapping sheet now. So the mapping sheet itself, that you have the BQ breakdown, then you extract the activity out of it, then you give it the activity has an ID out of this BQ, mapping with the time schedule and the BQ, and now you're gonna assign this code to the 3D model. So the time schedule, the 3D model, and the BQ is linked together. So whenever you have a new version of it, you're gonna you could compare the variance at any stage. So the first step, we just added kind of a code to your element, a shared parameter, or just an information inside your 3D model that has the activity code, that has the commercial or the cost code. Okay, then you're gonna have your budget estimation team working with the 3D model, and whenever kind of detailed BQ they're gonna come up with will be linked with the activity code and the activity ID because they are following the same WS. The planning team will start develop their time schedule and the detailed activity, but you both have agreed on the breakdown for the WBS and the activity ID. So once you meet here, you will find that your time schedule IDs or the activity IDs has been linked to your 3D model, and the BEQ as well linked to the 3D model. So whenever you have a new version of the or a new update or design change in the 3D model, it's gonna end up with a new quantification and new distribution for quantity on the time schedule over the time. So both will be linked through the activity ID and the BEQ ID. Okay, so here you're gonna keep going with the live document for the BEQ and the 3D model, and you're gonna interface this with the planner or the 3D simulation team or within the 3D team itself, which is responsible about the quantification. Okay, so this is a high-level workflow for the 5D when you're trying to link the 3D model with your time schedule and your BEQ, and you try to make this link dynamic to make sure that at any stage you could get another version of your information. So I said that we're going to look at the WS in details, which I consider it is more the data management, which is a key in our whole process. So for example, there is a project. The WBS is kind of, if you are not a planner, if your background is not planning, just think that WBS is kind of, it's called work breakdown structure, which is kind of how you break down your activity, your work or your project. For example, you have a project, you break it down by area, then level, discipline, activity per sector, then logical object, which is site preparation, casting, building, blending of BC and waterproofing, maybe underground service, and so on. This will be the lowest level, which is the activity itself. So your WBS logic, the breakdown you have it there, you're going to agree with the BIM team how their kind of model will be broken down, and this will be a part of the WBS structure they're going to have in terms of how they break the model, and this will be part of the activity ID we're going to create in the second step. So now the tagging system will use the tagging system for the ID3D model. We're going to use the logic that you have built in the WBS with the planning team. And then you're going to start break down project, building, level, object, discipline. Then you're going to speak about object in a very detailed manner. So both going to help you now. This will be your naming convention, and it's be used for the model itself naming convention. It will be a kind of agreed breakdown between you and the planning team. And then you're going to add the activity ID within every model you have regarding to this element or to this ID. And this is how you're going to look like with the BEQ. So we have the BEQ now. The BEQ has the CSI master format here. This is the VIM code 030261 as an example here. And this is for this substructure walls, for example. And this is the quantity. So you have, we call it the dead BEQ or the fixed BEQ, which is the original one. You got it in day one on the project. Okay, you have it there. Then once you start link your BEQ with the 3D model and the time schedule, it's called live BEQ. So what you do here, that you have the BIM code that you have been assigned to the 3D model object. Now this is your BIM code to map between the BEQ and your BEQ. And here is the BIM quantity. So you have the original quantity and you have now the BIM quantity, which will be making sense now to give revision 2 and 3, 4 for your BEQ. And here is some kind of a small hint. I don't speak here about softwares, okay? So if I want to make it more digital, if I would look to make it more outstanding, I'll use in this stage, I'll use cost X. What we are already covering in the grad session in the master degree, we address this area with a software called cost X to make it more live BEQ. Here, I'm trying to address the general concept for everyone that he understands and he used to day-to-day work. But if you want to be smart at this stage, you could easily build your BEQ inside the cost X, and this will be live, and you could create everything you want, kind of a live BEQ and generate version 1 and 2 and 3. It will be much smarter more than this approach. But here, back to just use the Excel sheet. So you'll have here the BIM code and the items and the original unit and the new unit. And now you know why this kind of quantities happened, and deducting opens. There is you'll have some feedback from the BIM team, but at the end of the day, both is kind of following the same structure. This will be your how you're gonna break down your BQ to get your invoice even. So you have section, code, bill number, code, page, and you have now prepared your invoice through the model itself. And cost X, you could do the same. You just create the invoice through it direct, which is really fancy and really good to have. But here we just address the data management behind that process. So you have here now your BIM code linked with your activity, the BQ. And here, if you export this in Excel sheet from, if you export your 3D model, the MTO from the model, you're gonna find that you have the division, you have the code, you have description, and now it has the same exact tool. You could controlling the new quantities as we go. You could control the quantities out. You export it from the 3D model as Excel file or CSV file, and you have the original BQ. You could link both in the Power BI and start creating your this evaluation report. Or at this stage, you just created another sheet in your Excel sheet and just doing the normal work, which is comparing the original against the new information. But at this session, we tried to link it with the 3D model itself inside the Power BI. Okay, so let me recap at this stage. What we have done is, first, we talk about the current landscape. What's the digital approach look like? That we're trying to link the 3D model, the well-structured coded 3D model with activity, with the time schedule, and with the BQ. Okay, and I show you in the beginning the standard way of the BQ. So whatever kind of BQ you have it in Excel, you have it in Cost X, you have it whatever in Candy, whatever kind of software you are using. At the end of the day, you might export in Excel or might integrate directly with the database. First, we look at the current landscape, and we try to have a centered source of truth and how we link all together to get it in the same place. Second, we talk about the workflow, how the 3D model integrated with the time schedule and the BQ, and we speak about that we follow the same exact kind of WBS or the naming convention. We have kind of workshop. We agree on the way that we're gonna code our model itself. We're making the coding structure for the BQ. If you're gonna use CSI, if we're gonna use Uniformat, whatever kind of naming convention we're gonna use. Then we go through the activity itself, how we create the activity that follows the same exact workflow, the same exact ID structure, and we assign it to the model, and the BQ ID assigned to the model. So now all assigned to the model. So the second step, we're gonna think how to use the data analytics workflow to link it together to come up with the final solution. So let's think here about the data analytics workflow. So now we have a BIM model. We have a lot of data in Excel, CSV format or Excel format, whatever your data source look like. And we have the time schedule. I'm considering here using the V6. So for the 3D model, there is a lot of solutions that you could use to link it with the Power BI. There is Speckle, this Proving Ground, but I used to use VCAD that you have here. Very straightforward. As attachment for this session, I'll give you the step-by-step how to set up the VCAD. And then once you have the VCAD set up, so what is the function of VCAD? VCAD, all what you do, you upload your coded model. So the previous step we have discussed, you're going to add the activity ID to the model. You're going to add the cost code to the model. Then this model is well structured, coded now. I'm going to upload it to VCAD. Then VCAD, once you upload the model to it, you allow you to download a ready integrated 3D model within the Power BI. I'll show you a sample of it now. So this is the first step, link your 3D model to the VCAD first. Second, if you have a lot of data in Excel, like you have the BQ, you have some commercial cash flow, you have some commercial information from ERP system, whatever the information you have there, but make sure the coding structure we are using the same exact in the model, you just link it to the Power BI. Then you have the B6. So the B6, it could be exported as CSV, and you could link it as Excel, or you could connect SQL database or direct through the ODBC Open Database Connector, or you could connect to the SQL itself, and this much advanced way. So for here, this is a general conversation about the workflow itself. You have the BIM, link it to VCAD, you have the Excel sheet, and then you have the B6. If you use Microsoft project, will be the same process, or you could export it to Excel as well. No, there's not much different things. So now at this stage, we managed to get the data source, different data source in the same place. And this different data source has the commercial information in Excel, have the time schedule information in B6, had the 3D model information in the 3D model itself. So what we're going to do next, inside the data analytics, we have something called ETL, which is extracting, transform, and load. Extracting which is really key in this stage, that you extract the right information. Extracting means cleaning, and connect to database and clean. So what you do here, you really want to look at the needed data. For example, if you connect your Power BI report with V6, what's going to end up with, you have a lot of tables shown up in your database. So you need to select exactly what type of table you need. You need to select exactly the Excel sheet you're going to import. Not every tab will be there. Select what you need. Then you're going to do kind of cleaning. Cleaning means remove unnecessary information, clean some, like if the formatting, if some information should be numbers, but it's shown as a text, and so on. So extract is connect and clean. Then once you connect, you go to transformation. Transformation is, it's either cleaning, it could be a transformation, and this actually are the right word. You might remove some unnecessary information, but also transform your data in the shape that you will use in your time schedule, in your report. For example, Power BI as a software, he uses the vertical kind of terminology. If you try to create a pivot table in Excel, you need all the information to be in a column, to be able to address it in pivot table. The same exact here. So sometime you will have the information ready to be cleaned, ready to be used, cleaned, remove duplicates. You have everything right, but not in the right transform that the charts we're going to read. So you need some time to do something called unpivot for some tables that has some data dates information. So you need to address it properly to transform your information in the way you're going to use. Or sometimes you learn by example. So you might open a ready report, open it, check it, and see how the information is stored, and just imitate the process inside your report. Then load. Load means bring you all linked data together to your report view, or then start doing the data modeling exercise on it. I'm trying to be very high level here because this needs a lot of explanation, but this is the process you are using inside the Power BI to get your data connected. I give you some example of what we talked here. In the left-hand side, you're going to see some CSV data, which is inside the V6. We export the V6 information, which is time schedule. And you see here how messy it is. You have a lot of data here. There's no consistency. You have dates here. You have breakdown here, like the activity names itself. Here you have information here, nothing here. So what we do here, we do a step called unpivot, which is transfer us from this to that. So we try to have a proper activity ID linked with the activity name. So we're going to have the value for planned value, cost, and earned value, and so on. Which week we are on, the value, which is the sum of all the data that have in the same date for the same activity. This exercise is called unpivoting, and here's kind of step by step how we convert from here to here. We clear some empty data. We just adjust the empty cells. Sometimes you need to fill down the information. Here you see there's a lot of gaps. So you filled it down, then you convert it to a proper transform that the charts we're going to read. All the charts inside Power BI will read column wise, has to be structured in a column. So the information has to be vertically organized. Okay, this is a sample of the three processes we discussed. Then here is the magic. Once you have your, let's say, BAQ ready, the 3D model ready, the time schedule ready, all inside your Power BI now, you need to link with kind of relation that respects some information. That there is something called fact table, something called, let's say, dimension table. Let's make it very simple. Your dimension table is the table that you're going to use to filter. If you want to filter any information, just use the dimension table. The fact table is the transaction table. For example, if you have an activity table that has start date, finish date, planned versus actual quantities, and all this. So this for you, the fact table, because this is what happened. This is the transaction table. This is what happened every day. And if you would like to filter by floor, this is your dimension table. So we have here VCAD, all VCAD tables here is the 3D model table. 1, 2, two 3D model information. The time schedule is here. The VQ is here. The activity is here. Time schedule as well. And here we have the calendar table. So the logic how to link them together is literally about the common code. So you have activity ID. inside the 3D model. So you link the activity ID from the activity table to the 3D model. And the same for the BQ has activity ID. If you see here, this area, activity ID here. And this activity ID linked to time schedule. So it's really is the kind of the back engine for all what we have discussed earlier, which is to make sure that the 3D model have the proper codes from the BQ and the activity ID. And when you go to the Power BI, you just select the table that connect them together to allow you to do some kind of the magic or the equation. So in very simple word, that's what we have inside the activity. This transformation we have done to the V6. You don't need to go through all this. You're going to have the template that we use today. So you have activity table, you have resource distribution for resources, you have a resource ID, and then you have the 3D information to the schedule bridge, which is the link between the 3D model and the time schedule. And this will be, I won't do this in detail, it's just be your main kind of DAX functions you need to learn to be up and running with such, it's like Excel. When you use the Excel VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, this will be your main kind of equation to functions to learn to get your report up and running. This is the core function I used. I'm not going to go through it as explanation, but if you want to use the same exact report I'm going to share with you, just search how to use this kind of functions inside the DAX or inside inside the Power BI. So if you follow this process and you understand the different kind of terminology between the cost and planning and data, you're going to end up with this kind of final report. So what we have in this final report is we have here a cost report in the left-hand side. We have the 4D report. We have the cash flow. We have the BIM Explorer, and we have the earned value. Okay, so you have your information from planning, from cost, from cash flow or commercial, and from the 3D model itself is linked there. So once you select any filter, like building number 1, if you click here, zone 1, it will gonna convert all your dashboard to that specific area that give you all the information that have been already previously addressed. So this will be how that the final product will look like. In very simple steps, what we have done. First, we have a workshop to how to do our naming convention between the cost information and the time schedule and the activity IDs within the model. We start assigning the activity ID to the model. We start assigning the cost codes or the BQ item codes to the model. Then the model ready and structured to be linked with the VCAD. Once you link with the VCAD, you're going to download a ready integrated model with the Power BI. Once you have the Power BI ready, what you're going to do some kind of transformation to clean your data as much as you could. You'll have some samples of how I did this. Then you start calculate the information you want to get it done by a specific DAX information. So I'll give you another prototype for how the 4D or the final product we're going to look like. Again, sorry, the integration. Here's the prototype. This is not a live document, but is this exactly how the client look like? You have the 3D model here. You have the activity table here. You have the variance analysis per trade here. You have the S-curve for the information there. And this could be an enterprise or corporate dashboard now that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects in the same place you could link and click on together. There's another sample that you could use as well, which is how you could look. You have here earned value report, project performance report, productivity analysis, cost control, area of concern. So you could click on every report and get the information related. And this is high level information that being calculated as cards. And here's the related earned value, schedule performance index, cost performance index, cost variance and schedule variance. And then how you calculate the cost actual percentage with the earned value with the total cumulative cost. Actually, will be the final product if you succeed this kind of mapping structure in place. I will take the last, are we still good in time, Tisa? I'll try to take the last 5 minutes to open the mic.
Yes, feel free, Omar. We have some questions in the chat, but feel free. We
Okay.
still have time.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I give you the high level workflow. Let me give you the practical workflow. I have prepared the files open in the background. I'm going to share all this with you. So if you look here, if we go here, this is your, I try to be back to basics as much as I could. So everyone attending the session this will mean something for him, because it's really a typical kind of BQ you have in every project, typical type of workflow. There's much kind of digital work there, but how we integrate it to the Power BI is really digital and really advanced in the way we did. So basically, when I speak about you have a BQ, this is your raw data. I have a BQ here, structure, arc, HVAC, plumbing, and electric. Really typical that has breakdown in the CSI format. Okay, as we agreed in the beginning, I asked this question, and one of you guys replied back to me. I think Dia Osama replied back that this is correct. This is CSI that has description, has quantity, has rates, and has amount, which is the total price. Okay, so what happened here? Once I have this, what I do is I start doing the mapping sheet. So based on the activity, the item I have, I break down this item. So if you go here, read the earthwork, cut design list as pre-drawing specification. If you go back here, and let's go for another item, which is mapping sheet. Sorry, let's see, go for plain concrete because the excavation was there. So the plain concrete, you have it here, raft, slab, various thickness. This is the item you have in the BQ here. Raft, slab, so you have reinforcement. The earthwork is here. The plain concrete, raft, slab versus thickness. So this is the same exact breakdown inside my BQ. I took this BQ and start break down every line item I have in the BQ, which is a mapping sheet. The earthwork, I start break it down for the activities. So I have earthwork for zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Start break it down this way. Link it to the item that I have in my BQ. So I have the item, I have the total quantity, and I have the weight system for every activity. So now I have the BQ item per activity. So again, I take my BQ line item. So if you go back for earthwork, you will find it's 9,800. Here's the earthwork. It's 9,800, both earthwork levels here. So I start with this, break it down to the activities. So it's ready to go now. You have 6,000 here and 3,000 here for excavation, another one for backfilling. So, okay, you have the total. And I start breaking down for activities that I'm going to perform. Now I have the activities and I have the weighting system here. I start with my mapping sheet to link the BQ with the activity ID, the activity breakdown. So every activity now has an ID, link it to the BQ because it's already break it down from the BQ line item. Okay. Then, if you would like to look at this, the commercial guys, we're going to give you an input of that. I think we have the productivity and calculation sheet. They start calculate. They have quantities. You start think how many hours that it takes your team to do every activity. So now you have 158 meter, and you have here a meter square, a meter cube, and this will take them 10 days. So now you're gonna start doing the productivity exercise. It's not your exercise as a digital delivery integrator or 5D specialist. It's an input from you, from the commercial team, to say that this is our productivity rate and this the hours that we're gonna take for every activity if you want to go to this level. Then you will have the activity codes. You're gonna create yourself. The activity codes, if you remember what we say, is just how you're gonna filter your report. So the more proper activity code you have, it will be more detailed of how you're gonna filter it. We'll talk about by building, by zone, by work package, by floor, by subcontractor, by CSI division, and so on. So this is how you build your mapping sheet. You build your mapping sheet. You might agree in the background how your every abbreviation we're gonna means in your activity ID here. You see here we have HTCN, Z1, SUB, and every one of them you have the what's referred to here. And then here is really the magic is you have now what you have is you have linked your BQ to the activity ID and activity name, and this activity has linked together with a logical sequence. Now you have a distribution for your BQ over the time. You have your BQ distributed with the time schedule, linked with the time schedule. So you have distribution over the time. So you know the quantity you're going to deliver at a specific time for this activity, at a specific time of the year. And this will be a very good explanation for your manpower and the man hour you're going to use for your team and so on. And here you could go for level 8, even this is a time schedule. You know now the activity, and you know the total value for cost-wise. You know the man hour, the man hours you're going to use, the material you're going to use, the subcontractor value. So you have all the information ready from the planning team. You are not going to create this all yourself. It's all in, you have an input from B6 or planning team, project control team, an input from the commercial team, an input from the BIM team, and you are to integrate this together. Sometimes you might be one of those aspects. You might be the BIM department, you might be the commercial department. So once you have this done, ready, now this will be all your table that you're going to import to your Power BI, plus the VCAD to get the information from the 3D model. That 3D model now has the activity ID. Now your activity ID linking the time schedule with the model, and link the time schedule with the BQ, because this is the mapping we did here. We link the time schedule with the BQ item. So now you have a kind of a bridge between the BQ and the model and the time schedule. When you go now to the B6, so sorry, when you integrate this now in the Power BI, you will end up with such a kind of report. I just go through very quick here. If you click here, you go, when you link this together, this is the workflow in the background. How is it linked together? In your case study, this really advanced in terms of huge kind of tables, but this is what exactly I used. This all the table I have in my database. All of them is literally missing, but I just filtered that for you. This exactly the relevant table I'm using. B6 sources, the calendar, the BQ, the activity table from B6, which is the time schedule, the VCAD data, which is the 3D model. So if you hover over here, you're going to see the activity ID in that table linked with the activity ID in this table. Again, if you hover over here, the activity ID and the activity ID is linked together. So you're trying to have kind of an integrator or a parameter that you could integrate different sheets, different information from different sources together. And this is what we have succeeded to do here and end up with this report now. If you go, this is the budget labor, this is the budget cost and the actual cost and so on at this stage. If you select here, if you look here down, we have here the breakdown by division. You could actually, divisions is mechanical, electrical, site work, concrete, and so on. You could make it by order. But if you select one of them, it's going to give you the information regard to it. If you go to here, I think the VCAD is not linked properly, but this is fine. You're going to have all the information from calculation-wise here, from cost-wise, variance per month, per item. They're going to help you to understand what exactly happened. But if you'd like to break it down by zone, click here. So now by zone, this is exactly what happened for this area by zone for this information. And if you'd like to know the planned cost, the actual cost, the budget cost, and the budget at completion. Budget at completion means if I continue in the same rate, what I'm going to end up with, and the remaining unit by item. So now your budget is linked together, and you could come up with this information for the project level. I have the other one open in the background. Just take time to reload. So you could select here in the tabs in the left-hand side. If you just select the earned value, you could see now the earned value for this area. If you select specific floor, I could see the Power BI here for sorry, the commercial side. I'm going to select here by building. And I clear this guy. Yes, so by building here by zone, I have zone 1, 2, 3. If I select here, this is the planned value in terms of cost. This is the earned value. Earned value will give you only information for the actual, what happened on site. The actual, then the schedule variance and the cost variance and so on. Here will be the schedule performance index, how we are performing in this project. And here will be your S-curve, regards what you have delivered to date in your project as well. The last one I would like to show is purely kind of earned value, how much I should earn from invoices or from cash perspective. You could see here now this linked by specific date. You could select a specific date and go through it one by one, or just deselect all. I'm going to see the whole project performance. If you select here the cash flow in and out, you're gonna have the full information for the cash flow in, out, the net, and you have the full picture about your commercial aspects. And this will be updated direct if your 3D model have any new design changes, quantity changes, and so on. That's it for the whole case study we have. I tried to give the theoretical side. I tried to give a real world case study. And I think all data we have discussed today, we're going to share with you after this session. That's it from my side. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
Great, Yoma. Let me change let me share my screen again, and let's move on to the Q&A. Thank you so much. I saw we have only 4 minutes, so I will select one question, okay? In most of the projects, the team make up people from different backgrounds. For example, the planner is not going to follow any WBS code logic, etc. They follow their own. What will be the solution for this?
Okay. The easy solution is mapping. So you're gonna take what is and mapping with your work, which will be the easy way to do it. In the beginning, it will take some time in the beginning, but it will be an easy way to get your work done without jumping to this kind of conversation. But the main reason of what we're trying to discuss today is the integration. So people get the buy-in once they see the value. No one wants to do a lot of work without seeing the value and getting seeing what really means, if how gonna affect his day-to-day work if he see the outcomes of that. So you need to have to touch what really value him and try to work collaboratively here. But if they don't want to collaborate, do a mapping like what we shared, what they have as a code, what you have as a code, and now this will be your mapping sheet in terms of any changes in your data. Oh, I answer your question.
Great. And let's finish with a message, Omar. We have 3 minutes. So do you want to leave a message to our audience, to everyone
Yes.
that saw you and everyone that will receive the recording?
Yes, so today we don't try to discuss a specific tool, we don't discuss a specific kinds of software or this kind of stuff, because it's all about the process that you are using to implement in such system in your company. Just to make it loud and clear, whenever you are working with a kind of additional approach, you need to think about what is the proper workflow that we're going to serve my company. Don't get ready to go solution and try to customize your company process to fit in. Try to think how you build the process that fits your company, how to assign a proper tool that work with that support your company as well. And the most important key, if you have the best process and you have the best tools, is training your people. Your people is the key to work and use this sort of advanced tool or implementing such of new tools and methodology in the construction industry and construction companies. So training your people will be the key message I'm sharing with everyone in this session.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Omar. So let's finish. A big thank you to Omar Habibi for such an inspiring and insightful presentation. And of course, thank you all for joining us today. Stay tuned for our upcoming masterclass and professional learning opportunities. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and take care. Thank you so much, Omar. See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.